Well, Mass Effect Day came and went, and we got like maybe a teaspoon's worth of information, but hey, it's better than nothing. So let's quickly go through everything we learned and speculate what it could possibly mean for the future. Early Tuesday morning, the official Mass Effect Twitter tweeted out a short 25-second video. Now, this image isn't anything new, we've seen this piece of concept art about a year ago. However, it appears they've moved this construct into space now. But the thing is, this isn't a static image. It actually has some slightly animated and moving parts, but the main takeaway from this thing is the audio. While initially this may sound like gibberish, people far smarter than I managed to decode it. When decoded, it sounds something like this.
I can see it. How did we miss this? Exactly. The Council will be furious. Although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. Perhaps worse than most living fate.
That is obviously Liara speaking with what sounds like a Geth, which is interesting. Mostly because it's widely assumed the story will follow the destruction ending. That means the Geth and all the other AI in the galaxy should be dead. Maybe this hints at the fact that not all synthetic life was wiped out. Maybe some found a way to hide, or maybe someone is restoring the dead synthetics. This does actually make me think of last year's teaser, which also featured lots of Geth. So maybe the Geth, or a new restored generation of Geth, will have something to do with the story. Anyway, moving on, when examining the ships in the background, it's hard to tell exactly what these are, but I think we can make a pretty good educated guess. Some of the ships remind me of Athabasca-class human freighters, but it's too hard to tell. Also, that ship in the bottom right could be the SFX ship we saw in last year's teaser, but I don't know, it could be crazy, but the shape does look pretty close. Moving down to the bottom left, we can see some text that reads Vacuum Dock Relay Construction Record. Monitoring station operated by Green Dagger Ltd, property of Deep Space DAO SAV. Ship Captain Sub Navarek Soral Zillion Jones for internal use only. SA 314 11 790. Followed by a bunch of numbers counting up. Let's break this down line by line. Vacuum Dock Relay Construction Record. So this basically confirms that the MR7 on the object most likely stands for Mass Relay 7, confirming that the new mass relays are being built. Monitoring station operated by Green Dagger Ltd, property of Deep Space DAO SAV. Now, this could be two things. One, this may be the company developing the relay or simply managing it. Or two, Green Dagger is secretly monitoring the construction of the relay. As pointed out by Jack Blatty on Reddit, Green Dagger is actually a real thing and is a 5D military exercise held annually at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms in the Mojave Desert. It is attended by military forces from a number of countries, including US Marines, UK Royal Marines, the Netherlands, United Arab Emirates, and Canada. So potentially, Green Dagger is a joint species organization monitoring this relay for some reason. This theory of joint species cooperation is further reiterated upon in the next line, which reads, Ship Captain Sub Navarek Soral Zillion Jones. Okay, so this Soral Zillion sounds extremely Quarian, except it's hyphenated with a human surname, Jones, which is incredibly interesting and further supports this Green Dagger joint species organization. This organization would have a lot of people who support anything interspecies related, and that name makes me think a Quarian married a human, aka pro-interspecies relations. The last few lines read SA-314. Okay, SA could mean Systems Alliance, but the 314 is not some random number too. In canon, the first contact war began when humans reactivated the inactive mass relay known as 314. Maybe this is a reference to the fact that 314 led to an albeit short interspecies war. So the number 314 could have major implications in the future. The last line we'll be looking at is the 11790. 117 is obviously a reference to N7 Day, but the 90, the year, could imply the new game is set in 2190. Which is only 4 years after the Reaper War. As we saw in Mass Effect 3, when push comes to shove, the species can build large structures very fast, just look at the Crucible. So 4 years after the destruction of the old mass relays, it makes sense that the new ones are still being built and are this far along. And the last little bit, when downloading this video file, it's listed as SA Intercept Cytherium System Doc 314. The Cytherium system is something new, nothing about it is listed on the wiki other than something about otters. But really, that's all we can gather from this file name. Project director Michael Gamble also tweeted out a picture that doesn't reveal much but shows a Krogan, Turian, and Salarian with breathing masks on some unknown planets. Also, in his tweet, he writes out half of what Liara said, followed by Liara Tassoni, Doctor, Shadow Broker, and Redacted. And that is basically all we have. So, now time to theorize. Let's go back to what Liara said. I can see it. How did we miss this? So Liara is looking through this monitoring station with some kind of Geth ally who presumably says something along the lines of, the Council won't be happy, to which she replies, exactly, the Council will be furious, although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. So it appears that Green Dagger has stumbled upon a faction of humans building their own mass relay against the will of the Council. Now, the redacted part of Gamble's tweet has me thinking Liara is either part of the Council or is a part of Green Dagger. And Green Dagger may be a private joint species organization, and bear in mind this is all based on a hunch and no real evidence whatsoever, they could be tasked with keeping tabs on all the species, almost as if the Spectres were a private organization. That explains the lack of Systems Alliance iconography on the SFX ship last year, because they are with this Green Dagger organization. And those stepping out of the ship, potentially Garrus, Rex, and Liara, are the heads of this organization. So here is my theory. Set 4 years after the Reaper War, Milky Way species are still picking up the pieces. However, while everyone is at their weakest, opportunists from multiple species are seeking to gain power in the galaxy. These opportunists aren't some radical groups, they're actually governments. Humans, Turians, Salarians, what have you. In the chaos, people are vying for power. The Council basically means nothing at this point because they too lost most, if not all of their power, and while species are still trying to pick up the pieces, they're too focused on themselves rather than the galactic community. So who's there to stop this slowly growing Cold War? Green Dagger, an organization formed by Shepard and their allies to act as this last line of defense when you can't trust your own government anymore. So while all the species want to go to war to claim power, all that stands in their way is one joint species organization composed of the best. And that's where our new player character will come in. We'll be a member of this joint species task force with Shepard and all the former crew of the Normandy acting as our bosses and sending us on missions with our new crew to stop this growing Cold War. But that's all speculation. I'm really curious to know what you all think about this new teaser. Are you excited? Are you cautious? Do you have your own theories? Let's talk about it in the comments. Anyway, until next time guys, take care.